to start. G'day, legends. Sammy P here. I'm with a good friend of ours, Mr. Heath Dale. We're doing episode number 2 of Balls and All. We're in the studio here. As you can see, we've got the whiteboard. We've got a bit of crap on the floor. If we have a look, there's the vacuum cleaner. We've got the plastic chairs. We've got, that's our stand. There's a baby getting its nappy changed. Jacko will probably pop in at some stage. We're doing the Balls and All podcast. This is episode number 2. It's kind of just manufactured as we go. Just make it up as we go. But Grab Life by the Balls is at one point is blowing the lid on what's really going on for blokes, shining a spotlight on it. And I mentioned before, it's not necessarily that we all have to share a lot of the men's group stuff out there. If we talk about there's a baby cracking the shits in the background, most people want to start with a conversation, but a lot of people aren't ready yet. So we're going to share some conversations of guys that have gone through some stuff or are doing some really cool things, a bit of whatever, because that's how I kind of roll, whatever. We start there, but we also want to attract and then inspire and create and guide and mentor and coach and all sorts of things about creating better families and better blokes, essentially. We want inspired, empowered, and on-purpose men, and that's what Grab Life by the Balls, the coaching programs and everything that are starting to come out. Just moving the stage around here. That's what we're all about at Grab Life by the Balls, is creating more inspired and empowered and on-purpose men. Heath is one of those guys who's had a pretty cool journey. It's really weird watching yourself back to front here. It's kind of a bit freaky. Heath is one of those guys. He's just got a big heart. He's a really nice guy. Known Heath for a few years now. We've kind of really forming a close bond. Heath will be one of the guys doing the, what did I call it? The Balls and All certification. Yeah. I like coming up with original names. Doing the Balls and All certification. So Heath will be a
certified wingman.
Certified. Oh, I'm gonna have to change the name. All right, I'm changing it after we finish this. Certified wingman. He's going to be with a couple of other guys, Nevo and Tyler. Thank you. Thanks. Wow. Certified wingman. So basically, they've got the same philosophy, the same purpose, the same why, as well as, hey, Tyler. The same purpose and values and vision of what Grab Life by the Balls is. It's in its early days, so who knows what the effort will look like. But that's where we are. So I'm with Heath. Heath is doing the multi-level thing. Do we call it that? Attraction marketing, which I haven't mentioned, but I'll talk about that. I'll try and keep that outside the Facebook group to start with. But that's all about, my purpose with that is all about men being free from the financial pressures that is most of the stress in the family unit, and one of the biggest causes, the underlying causes of divorce, which I've mentioned in a few videos. But the stats are 2 in 3 marriages all end in divorce, and 78% of the time, the major underlying cause of that will be finances. So I've jumped in that. I have no idea what the hell I'm doing in that, but it's there for men to be able to, and families to grow and expand and have more time together without having the pressure of all the financial stuff. And that's what that's for. I probably need to do a video to explain that. But anyway, Heath's in that. Heath's got 3 young boys from 17 to
16 to 8.
Oh, 16 to 8. I was close. 8 to 16. Very interested in rites of passage and dad stuff and all that sort of stuff. You've done some work with real men and done a lot of the stuff there as well. And you're also FIFO. Yeah. So also you have some understanding of how the relationships can be quite challenging in that environment. Anything else you want me to add there?
Also a certified life coach.
Certified life coach. There you go. And I posted one of his videos in the group recently. You'll see, hopefully, Tyler and those other guys will. Thanks, Tyler. There'll be a few other guys adding a few more content as they become certified Grab Life by the Balls wingmen. That's awesome. I love it. Such a better name than right hand men, because balls and right hand, it's like it's a bit too. Anyway, welcome, Heath. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being in the studio with us today.
Mate, thanks. I'm loving the studio. That's the best studio I've ever been.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, it was a good idea. We're just gone for a walk down at Point Cartwright, and I hit Heath up with about a couple of minutes to go on that walk, and it's like, you ready for your podcast? He's like, oh yeah, okay. And then as we're walking in, I was like, yep, we've got some plastic chairs, got the milk crate, we've got the whiteboard, it's legit. Happy days. Awesome. Cool, mate. So welcome, great to have you here.
Yeah,
been having some pretty cool chats the last few weeks, so you haven't been at home as much. Where do you want to start?
I want to start with, this scares the shit out of me.
Awesome.
It's doing a podcast and putting yourself out there is it's almost makes me stop and go, no, I don't want to. So I had to really take stock when you asked me. And
like I told you last week that we might do this.
Yeah, might, but it's happening now, so let's go. But
hey Jerry, hey Chris.
But that's been a good part of my journey, is realising, you know, if I want to do something different and change some things, it's knowing that I'm going to have to get uncomfortable. So it's feeling that resistance, and it's like, I want to pull back from that where I normally would. Yeah, no, if you want to grow, you got to step into it. So it's like, fuck yeah, let's do it.
Fuck yeah, love that. Yeah, well, that's the place where we can all get stuck. And we touched on this before we started this, start in the studio here. You know, like I even find that, you know, when things are, I know where I'm heading now with Grab Life by the Balls, but in my day job, if you like, you know, that you kind of get to a point that's like, oh, okay, that's cool, that's kind of comfortable. You're kind of doing just enough, but it's not, you know, deep down that that's not enough.
Yeah.
Did you was there a tipping point for you? Was there something you remember, or was it just taking action and doing?
It's taking action. It's a gradual learning. It's like I tend to process things a bit slower. But once I learn my lessons, I like to learn them well.
Yeah.
And that might be rehashing the same ground. Fuck, I'm there again. It's like, hang on. If I really want to change, I really got to change it. So I wouldn't say there was an absolute tipping point. I'd say it's been a continual butting your head against the wall till I think, you know, it actually hurts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I've been there. Yeah. That's where we take the most action, though, isn't it? Because I think what I've found with organising this talk for the women coming up with the awesome Karen Smith, check it out, it's all over Facebook. You know, the women are ready and they can see what's happening in advance, whereas the guys don't take action. If it's not broken, why fix it? And they have to really, absolutely like break in half sometimes. You know, a divorce or, you know, health crisis, or just having a midlife crisis. That's where the thing starts to change. Yeah, it's quite interesting to see that. And you're trying to get to those guys before then, but no one's ready to step up, or not many.
Yeah. Just in your thought and listening to you there.
Yeah.
It's like it's been a gradual learning, but I think once I actually done Real Man, like that's a pretty intense sort of 4-day workshop that you go to. And coming out of that, I realised, you know what, I don't have to be this way. There's actually another side to me that I've actually denied for 40 years. And it's about being in touch with emotions and not being scared to share it, and not judging people and comparing myself to them. Once I actually sort of break down that internal fear of connection and actually walk up to someone that I might sort of put up on a pedestal and have a chat with them, underneath everything else that I've put between me and him, he's just another guy going through the same shit.
Yeah.
And that's when I sort of come to start realising, well, there's more in depth to me that's there that I've come in contact with, and gone, well, how many other guys are sitting in that same position that I've been in, that sort of just have that internal knowing where you're at and knowing it's something different, but, you know, how do I get from here to there?
Yeah.
So it's being sort of brave enough to step into it and vulnerable enough to face it when you get there.
Yeah, well, like, that's awesome. Yeah, and that's where the blowing the lid, comes in on it, you know, is that sometimes just different guys, not necessarily yourself, if you're not ready to share, whereas listening to other guys and talk about the same challenges, you kind of like, for me, it kind of takes the weight off the shoulders. Like, I feel like I'm carrying a heavy burden from time to time.
Yeah.
And then when you put it in context, everyone's going through challenges. And if it's whatever challenge is going on, someone's gone through it most likely before in the world. And at the moment, it seems like a lot of men in particular are having the same challenges.
Yeah.
We're starting to open up about that, but sometimes it's just easy to keep that inside and think it's just us. Whereas actually that blowing the lid on it and grabbing life by the balls can be just listening to other guys and going, oh, it's not just me. Whew.
Absolutely.
Like that's massive, hey?
It is. That's where some of my biggest learnings have been, is just sitting there listening to other guys share their story, and just like, man, you're in my head telling my story. And then, someone else will come and share something different. You're like, well, that's a different aspect of my life as well. So you're 100% right that just listening to other people share without you sharing yourself, there's such great healing in that.
Yeah, absolutely. And your day job, you're one of those fly in, fly out guys.
One of those FIFO guys.
And that that's besides construction. Well, I don't know if that gets coupled in with the the stats on construction workers and suicide, but FIFO, like that just seems to be highlight that separation, you know, of being away for a week or two at a time or more. You know, it just seems to, some guys like quite like that space, I'm sure, but then there's a whole lot of other guys, I'm sure there's so many things that must come up for that. Like I know one of the other guys in the group, you know, as soon as his missus was pregnant, bang, that's it, done, not doing that again, I need to be home. Like there's that massive provider mentality of that we need to make sure that almost everyone's happy. And if I keep everyone happy, that means I make a lot of money. And so she can spend it on whatever she wants and not have to worry about money because I don't want to feel like I'm a failure. But, or is it just that's just how I feel? So it'd be great to get your insight into, you know, how your growth and expansion over the last couple of years, you know, helps in that situation, you know, some common challenges with FIFO, what you see happening in that space, you know, because I think that's just, it's a higher pressure sort of environment. So the extremes are exacerbated. Like you obviously are well rewarded for what you do, but then the social aspect and the connection aspect and the relationship and the family kind of thing, that's compounded, and the need to be great communicators like you and your lovely wife Tanya have done real men and real women, you know, so you've got that understanding there now. But it must be, I'd love to know more about your world. Yeah,
it's when I first got the job in the mines, I lived in Mackay, so where I work's 2.5 hours inland from that. And then we were lucky enough to get a company housing, so I actually lived in the mining town for a couple of years. And that was good to be home every day with the family, but you are very isolated in that community. It's tough. Like it's great to be home, but when you're home, sometimes you're not present because you're so tired. Like you work 12.5-hour shifts, and you know you'll see the kids when you're either on the way to work or when you get home. You might sit and have dinner with them, but you're that worn out. You're not really sort of present. So we'd have time off, and every time we'd have a break, the best place we like going to was Early Beach. So we'd go up there and we'd spend $1 to $2 grand every time we're up there, and just getting away and just getting out of that mining town community, because there's different energies in places. And one of the major things for me to go, am I in the right place with my family living in this community, was Bodie, my 10-year-old. He's 10 now. He was probably just turned 6 at the time. Footy mad, wanted to play footy. We're out, and his older brother started playing out there. And
what kind of footy?
Rugby league.
Rugby league. Okay.
And just
no, it's whatever.
But I was disappointed because I'm a rugby union boy. So.
Right. Okay.
But
would you like to talk about?
That's a whole podcast in itself. But Bodie was adamant he wanted to play. He just loved it. He loved watching it. He loved being out in the backyard with me and Jaden and his younger brother as well. And we just had big games. And then had his birthday. He was old enough to play. We went down to the football club to sign up, and he was just so excited. And found his age group, found the table, and then I turned around like, "Where's Bodie?" And he's hiding behind me, and he's just sort of hanging on the back of my shirt, and he's just looked up at me. He's like, "I like it here, Dad." There was like pure excitement to walk in the gate, to the energy of the people around him. He didn't want to borrow it. I was like, wow, okay. And then it was, then I looked at the friendships that Jaden had. He had one good mate, and some of the mentality of the other guys. You hang out with some of the guys that you work with, you go to a barbecue and you look at the sort of mentality and their lifestyle and what they bring into their life. And I'm thinking, there's got to be way more to life than this. We set the goal, it was a financial one to move out there for 2 to 5 years. I think we lasted 18 months. I said, there's more to life than money. So let's get a lifestyle that we both love. So we come and spend a week on the Sunshine Coast, and it was a cold, windy, rainy day. We're standing on the,
as it always is when people come to visit, as it always is.
We're standing on the timber deck at Majimba Beach, looking out the island, huddled together with a coffee, and we looked at each other, and I said to my wife, "What the fuck are we doing living in Warrnambool?" And it's made a decision, and we moved here. So, and then started the fly in, fly out, and that's sort of a unique set of.
Was it different though, like, because you've kind of done it, reverse engineered it, so to speak, like you realised you're in that environment, but then I suppose you almost got like a double life.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah. And we hear people say, people that have money, they go, well, it's not the be all and end all, like there's something else. But then there's the rest, some of us, or the rest of us going, oh yeah, that'd be a good issue to have.
Yeah.
You know, because a lot of people, and there's other, you know, other people who I won't name, but we'll probably interview them as well.
Yeah.
You know, they've said the same thing, had all the toys.
Yeah.
But then there's more to life than money and all the toys and all the fun that goes with that. There's more to it.
Definitely more to it.
Yeah.
And yes, we earn good money, but you know, it depends on how you are with money. Some people are really good, and some people are not. We created a circumstance where we had a house in Macau. We bought a house on the Sunshine Coast, and then you know, the housing market in Macau plummeted. Our tenants moved out, so financially it was like a big fucking holiday. And you know, now things have changed again financially, and it's like, you know, so I'm in a job that pays well, but I don't have any disposable income. So not only am I living in a place I love, working in a place that separates me from my family, but I don't get to see all the money in the bank at the end of the day. It's like financial hardship that I'm working through at the moment as well. So that's a tough situation that I've got myself into. Luckily, I've got a plan to get out of it. I know why I do it. But what you said before, living two lives, is exactly how you feel. You mentioned that, you know, it'd be good to have that separation. I feel that
in some ways.
Yeah, and I do. I feel like I'm at home. I'm thinking, you know, just I can delve into a bit of growth. I can review some of the stuff that I've learnt before. I can listen to podcasts or ebooks. You know, I can read.
There's a really good new one called Balls and All. Check it out.
I will. So I could do stuff like that. But it's the notion, it's the idea, and you know, 5 minutes down the road, it's like I don't really want to go. So it's a big mental barrier to get over, and some tours are really good, and some are not so good. It's definitely a challenge that you come up against. So sometimes you'll get out there and it'll be, you've got the journey during the day, you travel with guys that live down here as well, and you get to your room and it's just like, it's just silence. And it's in them moments that's the hardest.
Silence is definitely.
Particularly when you've got 3 boys and so much noise in the house, and then you go from there to that. And particularly the 2 little ones as well, when you're going, it's like some days they're good, and other days it's like, oh, Dad, don't go. And it's just that reaction when you say, it's time for me to go. It's like, no, you've only just got home. Like, I've been home for like 4 days, but for them it's just yesterday. That's a really hard aspect to live with. But yeah, I'm blessed that I've got that open communication. I can actually, there's guys that I can ring, there's my wife that I can ring saying, I'm really struggling with this at the moment. And I can share about that.
Yeah.
But it makes me think, when I do that, how many guys are sitting out here feeling like me, going through that are just internalising, going, well, this is normal, this is the life, this is the set of circumstances I've created. I've just got to deal with it. Yeah.
So I'm gonna get pissed and spend all the money, smoke like a chimney. I don't know. Like that's stereotypical, but that's kind of when you're in that stress state and you're devolving in that. It's like get caught in the whirlwind and get sucked down into a vortex.
Yeah.
You know, it's pretty easy to just stay in that spot because you want to do stuff that's gives you an instant satisfaction. You know, that's where all the addictions come in. I'd imagine that's where the, you know, the extramarital stuff happens. You know, like it's. You know, I'd imagine it'd be quite a big thing. Well, I don't know. We won't go there. There's probably a lot of things you could talk about there.
Yeah, there is, and I won't. But
so, how do you find the relationship with Tanya when you come back? Moving on.
Well, that's that depends. It really does, because you know, whilst I'm away and I look forward to getting home, and I love that reception when I come home, it's not all about me. Like, my world is about me in my head, but when I step into that environment, it's, you know, I've got the struggle of, how do I fit in here? Like, I've gone, Tanya's picked up everything. She's mum, she's dad, you know, she's doing everything. So at what stage do I step in? What do I take over? Like, I'm only going to be here if it's my short break, I'm home for 3 days. And so what do I take over here? Like, what actually is my role for the next few days when I'm home? And it's, you know, I get home and just want to be home, and Tanya's been home for that time. She just wants to get out. So let's go somewhere. I'm like, I just want to sit on the lounge and just connect. And it's just, so it's understanding where she's at and her understanding where I'm at. So one of the best ways I've come to deal with that is just to find me. And my place to get grounded is down the beach. And it's, you know, I go down, no shoes, board shorts, and I just stand, you know, where the waves can sort of wash up halfway up my legs, and just sort of shut my eyes and just feel that sand shifting under my feet, feel my feet sort of folding into the sand, feel the waves, feel the energy around me, and just try and find my mental state. And that brings me back home. You know, being in this energy down the beach, in this environment, where we live is why I do what I do,
Mm.
which is opening up opportunities that we're now walking into.
Mm.
But I've got to find that first. I've got to find me before I can step back into home and be that again. Because if I come in as a tired mine worker, he's pissed off that he's got to go away, and he's pissed off he's got to go away again another 3 days, then that washes over everybody.
Mm.
And if I'm tired and I'm snappy, it's like, I just, might be have my head stuck in a book or on my phone, or the kids come up and I'm just not there. There's been circumstances where I don't go and do that process, and I sit there.
Mm.
And with our business that we're doing on Facebook a bit, so if I'm in that and the boys will come up and talk to me, and I might grunt, I might say yes, and then they'll walk off and Tanya will be like, "You didn't hear what they said." And it's like, it's in that moment, it's like, how does my kid feel knowing that dad's come home, so excited to see me, wants to have a conversation, I've just grunted and not even acknowledged him.
Mm.
So it's really important to have that process for me.
Yeah, that's really cool. Well, you talked like a bit of a grounding process, but it doesn't always have to be like, if you're listening and you're kind of wondering, well, what can I do? There's plenty of things you can do. It's just about becoming, I suppose, present in the moment.
Yeah.
Changing from really focusing on a deep breath changes the stress in your nervous system. You go from a really stressed state to a more relaxed state, a rest and digest state. So your body starts to do different processes that really change your heart rate variability and all these. I could go very technical there, but deep breath, getting focused in the moment. Getting outdoors is massive, especially if you're working, but it's not always possible. That kind of process really kind of centers you. The other thing was really cool there. It sounds like there's a bit of discipline there, because it sounds like you've gone through a process where you've got clear on why you're doing what you're doing, and there's a bigger purpose to it. So it sucks. It's a bit shit. I have to suck it up every now and then, absolutely. But there's a bigger thing in mind, and it's that having that connection to a bigger vision and your own kind of journey and your own kind of path where you're winning in life in your own terms, doing it your own way, like having that connection that you're not just working for the man must have been an interesting process, but also it's quite a good thing, to get clear on that.
Yeah, it is. I had to find out if I had to sit in the energy knowing that was all I was going to do till I retired, I'd probably have a breakdown. We'd probably divorce and be. Did you
have that at one stage? Like, this is it. This is going to keep the money coming in. I'm going to have to keep doing this, and I'm going to be here till I retire.
Yeah, pretty much when I got the job and when we first moved to the coast, it's like, this is going to really be really good financially, and this is what it's got to be.
I think then that creates a lot of pressure and suffocation. And then for me, even though I've got some flexibility with our lifestyle, I still there's the why that I'm working towards as well, and that angst of feeling like you're locked in, and then there's all the financial stuff that you need to keep going, but you're kind of locked into this thing, and it's like, well, how do I move into that thing that I really want to do?
Yeah, you got to. For me, it was understanding what that feeling was, because you've got life going on, you've got everything that you just mentioned. But underneath it all, it's like a little sort of grain of sand rubbing in there. It's like I was meant to do something different. My life was meant to be greater than just doing this, just working to pay bills, regardless of the income.
Yeah.
So it was listening to that, and then nurturing that, and then learning to bring that up and find out, well, what is it? What do I think about? When I'm actually in a centered place and not sort of thinking about the stresses of other things. What sort of things really get my attention, and then trying to find out what that was, and then linking that to a higher purpose. Massive part of that was Real Man, and just that tribal connection with guys, which was the biggest thing. It took me back to images of the way it would have been with Indians and native Aboriginals and Africans, and the way they still dance around fires with drums and stuff like that. It was that sort of tight community, and everything they did was for a purpose. It was very symbolic. It had a reason. I thought, where's that gone in our society? Because before I got the job in the mines, I was working in construction, and then I was in a managerial position, and my salary dropped like 35 grand in one go just to a company restructure, and that was quite stressful. And I ended up falling into depression in that. Just happened to be a chance at the doctor's, having a chat to him about it. I was there for another sickness, and it must have been my energy, my demeanour, and I had the right doctor at the right time, and he just looked at me and said, "Is there anything else?" I nearly said no, and I was like, actually, yeah, there is. I'm feeling like this and that. And he sort of, sounds like you're in depression. And he just had a chat to me about, what do you like to do? You know, you can come up with like golf and fishing and camping, like all the outdoor stuff that I love to do. And he's like, cool. How often do you do it? And I had to sit there and like, I don't. You know, and he went through the options of medication and what that does for me. And he said, but you can do that naturally. And he explained to me like getting outside, getting active, what it does, the chemicals it releases in your body, and then your medication is just a way to replicate that. But you can do it just as easily this way. I'm like, cool. So I don't know what it was, why I said, yeah, this is what's going on. I don't know what the catalyst was there, and I'm so glad I did.
Yeah.
And from that, I had the thought process of how many other guys are feeling the same way that I am. And where do they go when they feel like that? They just think that's normal, and how far does that spiral down if they don't find the courage or someone doesn't ask them the right question?
Yeah. Well, we always talk about grab life by the balls. We always talk about the inner prick. Yeah. The good boy syndrome, and then you've got what the fuck everyone else is doing or whatever you want to put in there. Yeah. If you've got another good word for that, that'd be good. Like the social media side of things, but that's kind of the loop that you go around. Yeah. And that's what you compare yourself to. And if you're in the inner prick, which most of we touched on the last podcast, how many negative thoughts you have there, it's majority negative. And then couple that with feeling like you're on that, this is what I do, that straight line that I'm going to work and here until I retire, and I'm here to pay the bills and that kind of buy a house, blah, 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 the good boy syndrome. And then you check out, old mate going to Bali with his family and having a good time, or buying a massive house, or you kind of feel like you're in that, you just spiral down. Hey? Whereas like that, then on the flip side, with the end of season review, which is coming up, which is the workshop that we'll be facilitating. Just that Heath didn't know that, but he'll be helping out because he'll be a right hand man. Just making sure. Thanks, Greg. Yeah, I was just making sure the volume was right. It looked like you said the volume wasn't good. And anyway, the other side of grab life by the balls, what it really means to grab life by the balls is getting clear on your strengths, getting clear on what's really important to you, setting your own direction, setting your own vision, winning at your own premiership, if you like. Because there's a lot of times you're like, how the fuck can I win in life? Yeah. Whereas if you don't know what's important to you and the underlying purpose of why you're doing things, and if you're too busy looking at your weaknesses rather than your strengths, and you've got no idea where the fuck you're going, life fucking sucks. Yeah.
So I'm fully grateful for I look back now and I say like perfectly lined up little events, that have happened to me to give me that awareness. Like when you're going somewhere, you don't actually realise, you just see these dots. I've got to do that, and I've got to do that. And it's till you actually sit back and look at all the dots and go on, you can actually see the path where you've gone. So one of the biggest things for me was going through that journey was realising I've got 3 little boys watching me do that. What sort of men am I bringing up into the world? And it's sort of those thought processes I had that really sort of set me on the trajectory of finding my why and what it is I want to do.
And with that, working towards, you want to tell us about?
Yeah, look, it's once I went through that thought process, went to something like Real Man and started to really understand, what my father complex was, because that's what Real Man deals with, and because my dad. Are you allowed to talk about this? Because everyone that's. I'm not going to go into that.
Yeah, okay. I was going to say. I don't want to be that guy that.
I'm not telling you nothing.
Blows the lid on a Real Man.
So what I found, because my dad left when I was 4, so I had an absent dad, and I had a lot of pent up fuck you energy towards dad. But what else I did was, I always viewed dad as was going to let me down. He was going to leave. He was going to go. So I've always, through my relationship with my dad, perpetuated circumstances where I would set myself up for him to let me down. I remember I went down to Sydney once with the kids. We went to the zoo. We were going to go to Dad's for dinner. But then last minute, I changed the circumstances. Like I said, Dad, look, we left late, I'm not going to actually get there. And then he said, well, that doesn't suit me. No, I'm not going to do it now. And then I'm like, fuck, he's let me down again. So, I perpetuated that myself. Yeah. Until I had that realisation. It's like, I've been doing that. I was putting my expectations on him by the father that I was to my boys. I'm like, I want him to be as loving, as caring, as present, which was the biggest one. And since I went through that journey, I processed that. I've come out with some good healing. I haven't had the conversation with my dad around it because that's my shit.
We'll send him the podcast.
We'll send him the podcast. I love you, Dad. But that was stuff that I had that I actually put on him. And since I've dropped that, I love him for him, and I look at the lessons that he gives me now. He's always had a passion for Speedway, and now he's, I don't know how, Dad was born in 48, I think. What's that making him, about 70?
Old.
It's not that old. Not 78. Did I say 78?
Would be 52
48.
plus 18. Be 70.
He's around there somewhere. Anyway, he actually builds vintage sprint cars now. And they've got like a vintage sprint car association. There's a bunch of old fellas get together and they still race cars. I think they stop it short of bumping each other off the track and knocking them over. But that's what he does. That's what he's got a passion for. And he chases that and he loves that. So, I can sit back now and not look at an absent dad that, let me down so many times in life. I look at a dad who's out there chasing his passion, doing it what he wants. And then it gives me an understanding of, well, what was Dad like when I come along? How hard was it for Dad when he separated from Mum? What was going through his mind? Thoughts I never had. Now I'm actually more open. There's always two sides, to every relationship. And whatever energy I bring into it, I can actually perpetuate that. So now if I go in with love and understanding, that's what I get back, and I just see the beautiful men as that. So going through that thought process and that healing, and then I looked at my boys and I thought, well, where in life do we as boys become men? You have girls that will go through the physical changes they have their first period, and then I'd imagine in that there'd be a conversation, there'd be a deep sort of bonding between mother and daughter, or daughter and whoever the prominent female figure is in their life, and that's a definitive moment in their life. They're always going to remember. And then you go to guys, and what's ours?
Getting pissed on your 18th.
Getting pissed on your 18th.
Or the first time you get pissed, or it'd be something like that.
Is it getting your license in your car? Is it the first time you find a hair on your nut? What is it for guys?
That's gold.
These are things that just sort of come along. I thought there's a series of things, but there's no definitive moment. What is it that you're accepted into a tribe as a man? And what does it mean for you to be a man? So, and I had those thoughts, and I thought, far out, and I'd love to be able to be involved and be able to create something like that for my boys, so they have that definitive moment. They knew that, my dad is involved in a tribe of guys who are all the same. They want to keep shit real, and they want to mentor younger guys into the world in that tribal sense, and bring them into the world in the right way that a man should be. So I think, you look at the problems in the Aboriginal community, and I've watched a few documentaries on it. A lot of it has been contributed to the fact as soon as the government took away their right to do rites of passage, they've had a lot of troubles in that because they don't have that community, they don't have that ownership of themselves.
Well, and I think that's no different to being any other situation in Australia as well. As a man, like it's so disconnected. It feels like there's a lot of pressure on sticking to the good boy track of doing everything you got told to do, and with that, part of that is like making money and providing.
Yeah. And
there's no real. That's it. Like how hard is it? Like even with the catch ups, the men's group, but not as you know it, that we run with Grab Life by the Balls. Try and do different events at different times, and there's still a heap of guys that say, "Oh, I can't make it. It's too busy. It's not the right day." There's we only do 2 things a month, and one's early in the morning and one's in the evening. It doesn't matter what day it is or whatever. There's always going to be that external pressure. Your inbox is always going to have shit in it.
Yeah,
I suppose
for sure.
Yeah, cool, mate. So that's really exciting. So I suppose watch this space with Grab Life by the Balls.
Yeah.
Is there anything you'd like to add before we finish up? Because I have to pretty myself up and get ready for my for practice. I was going to say my day job, but I've said job too much lately, or work. I'll be getting ready for practice. I have to put my Hawaiian shirt on and sort out my grey hair.
Yeah.
Anything you'd like to leave with, or anything you'd like to add before we end this?
Probably, I think gratitude is a massive thing. And it's easy to be grateful for a lot of things in your life. When you first look at gratitude, it's gratitude for where I live, gratitude I've got a family. But until you turn that gratitude internal,
Mm.
is when you really sort of start to change some things. So I've got at the moment, go through a lot of gratitude for actually feeling that those moments where I feel compressed, where I feel I don't really want to do that, but I know if I want to step out and change some stuff.
Like a podcast interview.
So I have gratitude that I can actually step into that and go, you know what, this is where growth is. This is where I'm going to sort of start projecting myself into the fields where I want to go. So, and that's no different to being a dad sitting there. You know, being a dad, you come home from work, you might play with your kids a bit, but how well do you connect with them? Like how well do you know your kid?
Yeah.
I've, for want of a better word, fabricated a relationship with my oldest boy based on trust, based on openness and vulnerability. And it took me a long time to sort of break down his walls, but man, the ball's on that kid. For a 16-year-old to come to me and share what he shares with me, like I sit there, I hold space for him, I honour him, you know, I never divulge what he shares, and then I walk out of the room and go, fuck it, yes. It's just what I wanted to
that's
create.
That's dad goals right there. I've got chills, yeah.
And that's what I've sort of perpetuated. So it's...
Yeah, and I met him for the first time because like I haven't actually met him before the other day when we were all around at your place, but you were working.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's got, we like talked for like 2 seconds, just like a bit of an introduction from Tanya. But yeah, he's got some cool energy, man. Yeah. Very, yeah. Good job. High five to you.
Thanks, man.
Cool. So with the gratitude, like with the other stuff that everyone talks about, the magic, would you recommend that for anyone that hasn't read it before?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I also know you're a fan of another book, which you can, once you've talked about the magic, if you want to talk about the magic, you can mention the other book too.
Yeah, I've got to sort of own up here. The Magic is a great book, and I love gratitude. I've got like...
there'll be a link in the post.
You go through a series of days, and you've got exercises to do each day. And then if you miss a day, you've got to go back 3 days.
And it's literally that, and that process is literally retraining the way that you look at things to overcome the inner prick, to start seeing actually the balance, or actually all the good stuff. It's not just positive thinking, it's just balancing out that negative stuff, the inner prick stuff, and being able to see that the truth, or the more balanced perception of what's actually going on around you. Hey,
balanced perception, more of a balanced overview, because when you've got that inner prick stuff going on and you're looking at it and you're focused on it, it's like you're trying to read a book under you. But when you sort of pull it back, you can see there's only one small sort of paragraph in the whole section. So
and that's one book.
So that's one
about gratitude. But
so
you've got a favourite.
In that, I've gone forwards and backwards a whole lot.
Yeah,
3 days, forwards 3 days.
Yeah, I think I'll probably at the start again. So.
Yeah, so I'll just start it again today.
But sorry, before you touch on your most favourite book.
I've got a couple.
Oh, you've got a couple now. I thought you were going to mention The Power of Now, because that's what we've had some deep and meaningfuls about. Yeah. And mine was Change Your Thoughts, Change Your Life with Wayne Dye. They're the two. Yeah, we've dropped them now. Awesome. Yeah. There'll be links in the show notes there to check them out and purchase them if you want. But I noticed all the gratitude stuff that I've done. I've even got there's an app called the 5-Minute Journal, so you can get a notification on your phone again. I'll put that in the show notes. And that gives you some intentions and some gratitude and all that sort of stuff. And I've practiced it for ages, but it wasn't until recently, after a retreat I did with Karen Smith, and doing the training with the other stuff that we're in. Yeah. And then looking at it, I was like, holy shit, I've never written anything about myself. Yeah. It's always been about other people that I've connected with, or the environment around me, or something else that happened. And I never looked at, even though I talk about strengths and values and all that sort of stuff, I never actually was grateful for who I am. I was like, holy wow. And then it's like, well, then I look at that and I'm like, okay, that's why there's X, Y, and Z showing up in my life right now, because I'm not grateful for who I actually am. It was epic.
It is. It's a big realisation.
Yeah, and you've been listening to The Power of Now and getting into the moment and that kind of thing, and I've been doing the 81 verses of the Tao Te Ching with Wayne Dye, just as a...
I've had that on repeat lately. Particularly the Wayne Dye one. Yeah. Power and Now. And then there's another one I've been reading called Surrender Project,
cool.
which is really cool as well.
Awesome.
About a guy pretty much tapping into his spirituality, but realising where he's got to hold himself back, and feeling compressed, and then going, what's life, the universe, God, what's it giving me here, and it wasn't got me denying it all through my life until now. If I'm compressed, if I'm, I need to step into that. So that's
yeah, cool.
Well,
I
that's
think we
pretty
could have another,
comfortable,
we could have another chat, but I really need to go and have a shower and iron my shirt.
No,
I
that's
have my
fine.
own shirt for today. So this is the Balls and All podcast. Hashtag Grab Life by the Balls. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram at the Grab Life by the Balls movement. If you're seeing this is because you're in either on the Grab Life by the Balls mailing list. Head to grablifebytheballs.com.au to sign up. It'll be the pop-up that signs up. You sign up on the mailing list. You're seeing this first if you're in the Facebook group, the Grab Life by the Balls movement. You have to request to join. You're seeing this first because we're giving you, our members, freemium access to the stuff that we're doing. We really care and want to create an awesome community. The other thing that was mentioned is that Heath is going to be a wingman with Grab Life by the Balls along with 2 other guys. That's coming up on the 5th of August. The night before that, we are having, I think Brad's got back to me, we're having a barbecue and a fire from the Sunshine Coast, just on the Kunda Park side of Budrum, essentially. There'll be more details in links around, but a barbecue and fire the first Saturday of August. Ray is doing the one the first Saturday in September, which will be the first. Again, the website under the events tab will have all that information. And we touched on the end of season review, which is basically if you work in corporate or work in any sort of business that's got quite a lot of people, or you play a bit of sport, most teams and communities and workplaces go through a review of what's happened over the last season, over the last year, over the last quarter, and that sort of thing. So the end of season review it's basically, I'm trying to keep it like a footy reference. And you're going to go and have a look at all these things that we've talked about, the inner prick, the good boy syndrome, what the fuck everyone else is doing, and having a look at that and where that's holding you back, but then starting to have a look at your gratitude for yourself, the strengths, understanding what's really important to you, which is basically a compass. Where's your compass pointing? And if it's different to the good boy syndrome, there's going to be a lot of shit happening in your life. Yeah. And we're working towards the bigger vision, the vision that you want for your life, not what everyone else expects you to do. That's what the end of season review is about. It's going to be about a 6-hour or so workshop on the 26th of August. Again, in events tab or on Facebook, you'll find that event. That'll be a public event. So just about anyone's free to turn up as long as you're the right fit for the group. And I think that's about it. Thanks for watching. Any comments or feedback, let us know. That's all the mumbo jumbo stuff.
Yeah.
Cool. That's it. Thanks for being here. Thanks, Heath.
Thanks, Sam.
Nice to have you on, mate.
Great to be
We should do the man hug, really, but we'll do that when we stand up at the end of this. Thanks for being live in the man cave with us. We appreciate you checking this out, especially in the Facebook group or the mailing list, and you'll see these pop up as a podcast very soon. See ya.